Hello and welcome back to this Damn for the Dualistic Crusade. This video is on something I wanted to cover that I think most people are probably not very well aware of. I certainly wasn't for the longest time, and they're also very rare book tie-ins to find. But I managed to find and read two of the, I guess technically four Batman the Animated Series book tie-ins. So there were three novelizations of story episodes from the series and a novelization tie-in of Mask of the Phantasm. Now all four were written by the author Geary, or I think it's Geary because the way it's spelling, so forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it, by Geary Gravel, and again, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He wrote all four of them. He wrote a number of children's and young adult fiction books from what my research indicates, among other novels. He was the one tasked with adapting Batman the Animated Series into book form, and these were all published by Bantam or Bantam imprints, so they are seemingly, full-on, adult paperback novels. They're not, marketed as young adults. They're just marketed as adventure, but they all nicely have the Bat logo on the side there. Now, some junior novelizations were written for Mask of the Phantasm, and then of course there was the comic adaptation, and I think some episodes were adapted in junior novelizations as well, and that's of course not including the Batman Adventures comic series that started, where they were doing their own original stories, but I think they also adapted some of the episodes. But being a giant novelization fan and always interested to see what favorite stories play like in novel form, I was really excited to find some of these, and they are all quite rare. So unfortunately, I only have two of the three episode books, and I don't have the Mask of the Phantasm novel. However, the Phantasm novel is available in the Internet Archive to read as an ebook, and I have skimmed through it. There are one or two little extra bits, but it is primarily retelling the story of the film. What these books do are the same. There are some additional flourishes and things that are really nice and really the most interesting part of the books, but they are retelling episode stories. However, they do something a bit different. I guess because the episodes themselves are anywhere between only 21 to 23 minutes, you can't really turn that into an entire paperback novelization, so you need more to go off of. So what these books do is they actually combine different episodes and sort of retell them as one narrative. So here in the first book, called Shadows of the Past, this takes the episode Appointment in Crime Alley, which is based on a Dennis O'Neil scripted comic from back in the day, and actually pulls that into the Robin's Reckoning two-parter episode. So you essentially have a book that starts with the Crime Alley story with some alterations for time and content, and it already starts to layer in the how Robin is feeling at this particular time, and there are some extra little bits that are just wonderful that Gravel adds to the novel. And then by about the third to halfway point, we're fully transitioned over into the Robin's Reckoning episode. So basically, this leads in directly with the Crime Alley stuff and the Roland Daggett backstory of that episode. It leads directly into the opening scene of Robin's Reckoning Part 1, where they have the surveillance that turns into the fight on the construction site, on the skyscraper. So it's beautifully blended together, and honestly, it plays so well that you can envision in your head how these three episodes would be if they were combined. So again, some elements are streamlined, and it is rather interesting to see how they are fit together. So again, these are not just adaptations of a single episode, or taking a two-parter and turning it into a book, which probably would have been the easiest and most straightforward thing to do. So this, of course, takes the iconic end title logo shot of Batman from the series as the cover, and then the interior title page gives us a shot of the animated series Robin. Now, there is some browning on this because this is an older 90s paperback now. It's definitely got some age, and it was not a top quality thing, so it's obviously going to be prone to having some browning, but it's still in rather nice shape, and these are so uncommon. I was so happy to just find this so I could finally read one of these. But it's a solid almost 200 pages, and it's a fun read. It's a great essential thing if you're a Batman fan, or especially if you're an animated series fan. These are essential, but they are very uncommon. So moving on to the second one, this one I have in much better shape. This one is under the Bantam Spectra imprint, and that is Duel to the Death. Really nice custom cover art on this one. Again, like all the other ones, this is also written by Geary Gravel, and this blends together the Two-Face two-parter with the Shadow of the Bat two-parter. So This blends together the Two-Face origin and the Batgirl origin that the animated series did. And this one, honestly, is perhaps even more interesting of a blending of episodes than Shadows of the Past is, because this is taking essentially 4 episodes, distilling them down, and when you know the animated series, you know that there is some Two-Face involvement in the Shadow of the Bat episodes, so it makes sense that they could tie the Two-Face origin into that. And honestly, I think it's really well done, because when you look at the Two-Face episodes and the fact that it's a two-parter, all of the great materials in the first episode, and then in the second part, it's really just more of the finale, and it's kind of drawn out. It's not as dramatically involving all the way through as the part 1 is. So it's interesting to see that sort of part 2 episode taken out of the equation, and then going into the Batgirl origin episode and part 1 of Shadow of the Bat. So it's a really nicely blended book, and again, the best parts of both of these are the new material. There's a gag that's actually done in both books, which is really just so heartwarming and funny, where Dick Grayson continually goes to Wayne Manor, and every time he goes, he's in some new disguise, and he's trying to bluff his way in and fool Alfred, but his disguises never work. As elaborate as they are, Alfred knows that it's Dick Grayson and calls him out on it, and Dick just drops the whole gag, and he's like, "Oh, man, I can never fool you." So that's just a gag that I really enjoyed in the first book. Had no idea it was going to be done again in the second book. So there's nice little bits of business in these like that, and it is always the additional material that the author brings that is the most involving, because otherwise you're just getting the plots of the episodes retold. But again, this one, because it sort of takes out Two-Face Part 2 and goes right into Shadow of the Bat and layers things in to connect the two-parter episodes. Let's just say I was surprised more with the Duel to the Death book than I was Shadows of the Past, because I could definitely see where this one was going a lot more, because the joins were a bit more obvious, I guess you could say. So again, with both of these, the fun comes in seeing the episodes in a different manner, and seeing them in book form, and then getting the new additional bits of material that the author added. This one, even though it's in much better shape, there's still a little bit of browning, which I think is going to be on all copies you find of these. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the third book, which, like these two, goes for quite unfortunately high amounts on eBay. So I was lucky to find these in bookstores at decent prices, for a couple bucks, or $5 or $10 each. But when you look at these on eBay, they can range anywhere between $30 or $40 or more, and that's why I haven't got a copy of the final book, which is based on the Kyorai Ken episodes. So Night of the Ninja and Day of the Samurai, which are some of the best episodes of the series. Kyorai Ken was a new character invented for the series, someone from Bruce Wayne's backstory and his back history when he was going around the world acquiring talents and preparing himself for his crusade as Batman. Those are some of my absolute favorite episodes of the series, and so I'm really interested now to find that. But again, unfortunately, it's very pricey, and I'm sure it seems to follow in the same pattern as these. So it would basically be just a slight expansion of very good series episodes with some little bits here and there added by the author. So they're not exactly essential, any of these, but they're very fun, and it's a very neglected part of the animated series world, and these are very uncommon to find. So since I already had the animated series on the brain, I wanted to cover these now that I've gotten to read at least 2 of them. So if you ever manage to find some of these Geary Gravel novelizations, they are a lot of fun, but unfortunately they are very uncommon. So I guess keep your eyes peeled for the Bat logo on paperbacks in your local used bookshops, or if you happen to find copies on eBay at decent prices. These are very fun. They're nice collectibles too, because they never got another print run and were never reissued. So I do highly recommend them if you're a Batman fan or if you're a big animated series fan. But I don't know if they quite justify the $40 or $50 price tag they normally have each. But they are very wonderful slices of the past and very cool parts of the Batman animated series history. So that's it for this particular book review. And again, if I ever manage to find a copy of the third novel, I will do a review of that as well. And I'm sure it will continue in the same tradition as these other 2. So to close, I would just like to say, keep reading, keep supporting your local independent bookstores, and as always, thanks ever so much for watching.